Wherever you go, whatever you do, throw a little at it. Omax, Vest and Briefs.
I have the responsibility now to set the tone for the event. I go around the country quite a few times. And wherever I go, friends I meet, one question I invariably get asked many times is, why is Tamilnadu so different? Why do you hate Hindi? Why are you so against Hindu Dharma? So these are questions which very often keep coming. And I tell them, no, it's not so. This is just a media creation. Or maybe a media exaggeration. Yes, of course, there is some people who are talking about all of that. But then, when I accuse or, say that, the media maybe blows it up, I thought, it's best that media answers the questions on nationalism in Chennai. And therefore, it is best fit that, two very authentic people are on stage to clarify on nationalism aspects. In my observation, there are two identities, false identities, narratives that has been created. One is a national identity, because Sanatana Dharma is a national identity. Hindi is a national identity. Some may not like it, but nobody can belittle it. So, what happens here in Tamil Nadu, from the times of Francis Xavier, in 1543, this Spanish guy comes and lands at Thoothukudi. He wants to convert the Paravar community. And for a decade he tries to convert. And he laments, and it is there on record. He writes to the Portuguese king that these Brahmins don't allow me to convert because they are educating everybody. They have educated the masses so much that in my one decade here, I've hardly converted a few hundred. I've been terribly unsuccessful here. Cut that to 1816. There's a person called Abbé Dubois, a Frenchman, Jean-Antoine Dubois, also known as Abbé Dubois. He writes a book on Hindu manners, ceremonies, and customs. It's available in Amazon. This book was released in 1816, and the East India Company, despite that man being a French, lapped it up and then translated it to English for their own governance help. But that man writes, I've lived in India, in Madras Presidency, in this place, for 33 years, and I've not converted more than 300 people. And my biggest enemies here are the Brahmins. They don't permit me to convert because they have educated the entire masses. So this is what Abbé Dubois says. Now cut that down to what the British did. They did the divide and rule. They did two things on divide and rule. One, they divided the Hindus and Muslims. It's very clear from the history of 1857 and 1905 that Hindus and Muslims were actually a far more unified lot than what they are today. 1857, First War of Independence, were today jointly fought by the Hindus and the Muslims together. The Hindus decided that a Mughal ruler is far better than these East India Company businessmen. So they picked up Bahadur Shah Zafar. The man did not know how to tie his shoelace. But they called him and said, okay, you are the king of the rebellion. The fact that that did not succeed much is an unfortunate thing. But then the Hindus and the Muslims fought that battle together against the British. Cut down to 1905, the Bengal partition. Lord Curzon, as he is known as, Curzon partitioned Bengal for sake of administrative ease. But the fact remains that he wanted to divide Bengal between the two, Hindus and Muslims. So such an uproar for 6 long years that they had to ask King George V to come down from England to India. So King George V comes down to Kolkata in 1911 and annuls the division, the partition, and announces the annexation of Bengal. 6 years, our people fought together. The same people, 35 years later, in 1947, when the partition happened again, 2 million people died. 20 million people got displaced. So the fathers who fought for the unity of this land started to kill each other. Their sons started to kill each other. What happened in these 35 years? If we go back, we will understand. We go back 1906. It is very similar to you are given a cell phone. Once you're given a smartphone, you can't live without it. 1905, when the partition happened and Muslims were given a particular state, 1906, they said, oh my God, we enjoy this very much. So let's form the All India Muslim League, which was formed in Dhaka in 1906. The seeds were sown in 1906, and it ended up killing 2 million people in 1947 and displacing 20 million. This is the Hindu-Muslim divide. And then, of course, is the divide between Brahmins and non-Brahmins. There are no, mind you, there are no non-Kshatriyas, non-Vaishyas, non-Shudras. There are only non-Brahmins. That's the term generally used. Because the Brahmins dedicated themselves to educate the society. There may have been sporadic incidents, just like any time in the history. But nowhere in history has Brahmins confined to being the so-called prestige class. They were consciously living under extreme poverty. As Vivekananda writes about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's father and mother, he talks about this community, which is just 150 years back. So what happens when Brahmins and non-Brahmins divide? But it's extremely interesting. 1784, Sir William Jones created the Asiatic Society to understand how they can rule India, because India was so many languages. They wanted to understand how the hell can we rule with so many languages. So he created this Asiatic Society to study the linguistic patterns. 1835, Lord Macaulay started the English form of education. 1856, we got the first graduates from Mumbai, Kolkata, Madras, first graduates in English. And 1920, in the Congress session of 1920, because of Gandhi's call for Swaraj, the Congress decided to form linguistic groups. So they formed the Tamilnadu Congress, they formed the Andhra Pradesh Congress, etc. So that created the seed for linguistic division. That ended up in 1956, it ended up in the state reorganization on linguistic lines. Potti Sriramulu in 1953 went on to a fast unto death because he wanted a separate Andhra. It was only on linguistic lines. We never had these linguistic differences, but then the linguistic differences was created in 1784 by Sir William Jones. 150 years later, it formed into a nation which was divided on linguistic lines. So this is where we find our linguistic identity. It's a creation of the British. Naam Tamilar அப்படின்னு மார்த்தட்டிக்கலாம். ஆனா நாம் தமிழர்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய ஒவ்வொருத்தரும் எங்கேயோ ஒரு இடத்துல ஒரு ஆங்கிலேயனுடைய அடிமனையில தான் வாழறானுங்க. இந்த நிலை மாறணும். அவனுடைய மத பாஷையை தாய்மொழியை போற்றி வணங்கட்டும். அதுக்கு நமக்கு எந்த அதிகாரமும் கிடையாது. நம்ம நம்ம தாய்மொழியை போற்றலாம், வணங்கலாம். இதுதான் எனக்கு கடவுள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். அதே மாதிரி தான் ஒவ்வொருத்தனுக்கும் பாரத நாட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒவ்வொரு மொழியும் எல்லாமே தேசிய மொழியே. அதனால மொழி ரீதியாக இந்த தமிழ்நாட்டை நம்ம பிரிக்கிறத நம்ம எதிர்க்கணும். ரெண்டாவது, இந்த 150 வருஷத்துல பிராமணர்கள் இந்த மாதிரி பிராமின்ஸ், நான் பிராமின்ஸ் இதை பண்ணி இவங்க எல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணாங்க? இந்த பிராமணர் எல்லாம் இங்கேருந்து அமெரிக்கா போயிட்டு அங்கே போய் சிஇஓ ஆயிட்டான். கூகுளுக்கு சிஇஓ ஆனான், அடோபிக்கு சிஇஓ ஆனான், கூகுளுக்கு மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட்டுக்கு சிஇஓ ஆயிட்டான், பர்ப்ளெக்சிட்டின்னு ஒரு கம்பெனி ஆரம்பிச்சு இது பண்றான். ஆனால் தோத்தது என்னவோ பிராமணன் தான். ஏன்னா இன்னைக்கு சுந்தரேஸ்வரர், மதுரையை ஆளும் சுந்தரேஸ்வரர் போட்ட பிச்சை சுந்தர் பிச்சை. அந்த சுந்தர் பிச்சை அப்படி மாற தட்டிப்பாரா? சந்தேகம்தான். ஆக ராஜ தர்மா அப்படின்றது கடந்த 150 வருஷமாக அழிஞ்சு போச்சு. க்ஷாத்ரோ தர்மோ ஹியாதி தேவாத் பிரவருத்தா பஷாதன்யே சேஷபூதாஷ்ச தர்மாக. ராஜ தர்மா, otherwise known as Kshatra Dharma, was the first to emerge from the primordial God. All other dharmas are part of it and appeared subsequently. But when Raja Dharma ஆட்டம் காணும் பொழுது எல்லா தர்மமும் ஆட்டம் காணும். And that's exactly what we have seen in the last 150 odd years. All forms of dharma have been repeatedly disrupted. There is another shloka. I do not want to read out the shloka. The whole concept is, yet they have been revived through the exercise of Raj Dharma or politics. In every era, the original principles of Raj Dharma have prevailed. And therefore, Raj Dharma is considered the most superior form of dharma in this world. So, இவ்வளவு பெரிய ஒரு விஷயம் ராஜ தர்மா, இது சினிமா கூத்தாடிகள் கிட்ட கொடுத்துட்டு வேடிக்கை பார்த்தா இந்த தமிழ்நாடு எப்படி உருப்படும்? நேஷனலிசம் ought to happen with a concept behind. அதுக்கு ஒரு ஆழம் இருக்கணும், ஒரு அறிவு தெளிவு இருக்கணும். பாப்புலர் மட்டும் போராது. தமிழ்ல கூட எடுத்துப்போமே, நம்ம நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத பரத கண்டமதில். இதனால் பரத கண்டத்துல தான் நம்ம பேசுறோம். மணிமேகலை கூட 2ஆம் நூற்றாண்டு. ஒரு தனி ஓங்கிய திருமணி காஞ்சி பாடல் சால் சிறப்பின் பரதத்து ஓங்கிய. குளோரியஸ், பியூட்டிஃபுல், பியர்லெஸ் காஞ்சி. எப்பேற்பட்ட காஞ்சி! பாடல் சால் சிறப்பின் பரதத்து ஓங்கி பண்ணி எல்லாராலையும் பாடப்பட்ட. எப்போ? 2ஆம் நூற்றாண்டுல. அப்போன்னா எவ்வளவு காலமாக இந்த காஞ்சியை பத்தி பாடிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அந்த பரத கண்டத்துல இருந்த கவிஞர்கள் எல்லாம் அப்பேற்பட்ட காஞ்சியை அவ்வளவு போற்றி இருக்காங்களாம். அதனால 2ஆம் நூற்றாண்டுல இருந்து நம்ம தேசியம் பேசுறதுனால நம்ம சங்கி அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, தமிழ் பிறந்ததுல இருந்தே சங்கி தானே. So the country was divided into two, yet no uproar. Half of Kashmir was lost, no uproar. Tibet slipped away, no rebellion. Reservation, emergency, Tashkent, Shimla, Sindhu, all wounds were inflicted, yet no disturbance. Gods garlanded with slippers and abused through. Silently we watched. Scandals after scandals came. We watched it again. When beef was banned, it was called a Holocaust. When national anthem was made mandatory, it was treated as oppression. When asked to sing Vande Mataram or Bharat Mata Ki Jai, tongues fell silent. Demonetization and GST led to chaos. So Kashmir Pandit became refugees in their own homeland, yet received no sympathy. Tears were shed for Rohingya Muslims though. So the nation was bitten by a poisonous snake. And the house went up in flames from its own lamps. This is what happened in Kashmir and in many parts of this country. It should not happen in Tamil Nadu. And for that purpose, we wanted to organize this on nationalism. We wanted to make it loud and clear that Tamil Nadu stands for nationalism, and every person in Tamil Nadu, the land with most populated temples and the most temple-going population, we have more people studying in Hindi Prachar Sabha than those in Tamil medium schools. This land stands for nationalism. This is what we wanted to convey through this message. Thank you.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, throw a little at it. Omax, Vest and Briefs.